Welcome back, everyone. Today we will be reading Chapter 22, so let's get into it. Chapter 22. They picked their way through the rubble, trying out of politeness to step on as few pages as possible. Quentin almost turned an ankle on a stone that rolled under his foot. The blue light from the runes seemed to be what was supporting the man. His bare feet hung a yard off the ground. He had sandy hair and a large, round face. His round head could almost have been what was holding him up, like a balloon. Around him, in a cloud, hung a dozen books, and a few more single sheets of paper, all opened in his direction, presumably, so he could consult them simultaneously. The pages of two of the books were turning slowly. He didn't greet them or even look at them as they approached. He had long sleeves that fell over his hands, but there was something odd about the way the material hung. As Quentin got closer, it became obvious what it was. The man had no hands. It was Penny. Quentin hadn't recognized him without the mohawk, and his hair fully grown in. He'd never known what Penny's natural hair color was, only that it probably wasn't metallic green. Penny rotated in place to face them, gazing down from where he hung in midair. He was thinner than he once was. Much. He used to have cheekbones. Quentin stood at the edge of the eerie blue letters etched in the ground. The cold had gotten into his core. He couldn't stop his shoulders from shaking. "Penny?" he said lamely. "It's you." Penny watched him calmly. "This is my friend Poppy," Quentin said. "It's good to see you, Penny. I'm glad you're all right." "Hello, Quentin." "What happened to you? What happened here?" "I joined the order." He spoke softly and calmly. Penny didn't seem to feel the cold at all. "What is that, Penny? What's the order?" "We care for the Nidolans. The Nidolans is not a natural phenomenon. It is a made thing, an artifact. It was built long ago by magicians whose understanding of magic went far, far deeper than yours does." "Not mine, mind you, just yours." Good old Penny. His losing his hands the way he did was a catastrophe Quentin would never really get over. But if anyone was born to be a mystical floating monk with no hands, it was Penny. They were going to freeze to death before he was done with his dramatic exposition. Ever since then, men and women like myself have watched over it. We repair it and defend it. "Penny, I'm sorry, but we're really cold," Quentin said. "Can you help us?" "Of course." When Penny lost his hands, Quentin thought he would never do magic again. Counting Penny out was a mistake he apparently couldn't stop making. Hanging in the air in front of them, Penny joined his empty wrists together in front of him and began rhythmically reciting something in a language Quentin didn't know. He was making some kind of physical effort under his robe, but Quentin couldn't tell what. All at once, the air around them went from frigid to warm. Quentin shook even more uncontrollably as he warmed up. The relief was immense. He couldn't help himself. He bent over and his mouth filled with saliva. He thought he might throw up, and that seemed incredibly funny, and he started laughing. Beside him, he could hear Poppy moaning as her body recovered. He didn't throw up, but it was a minute before either of them could talk again. "What happened here?" Poppy said finally. "Who destroyed this place?" "It was not destroyed," Penny corrected her with a trace of his old touchiness. "But it was damaged, badly. Perhaps irreparably. And there is worse to come." The books and papers that surrounded Penny closed and zipped off to their places in various stacks and piles. Penny began floating in the direction of the open doors of the palazzo. Apparently, those blue runes weren't all that was holding him up. The order seemed to adhere to the principle of suckers walk, players ride. "It is better if I show you," Penny said. Quentin took Poppy's hand, and they followed him out into the square. Quentin was coasting on an endorphin high. He wasn't going to die, probably, and after that, all news was good news. Penny talked as he floated along. His head was still a couple of feet above theirs. It was like having a conversation with somebody who was riding a Segway. "Did you ever wonder," Penny said, "where magic comes from?" "Yes, Penny," Quentin said dutifully. "I did wonder about that." Henry had a theory. He told me about it when we were at Brakebills. He meant Dean Fogg. Penny only ever referred to the Brakebills faculty by their first names, to show that he thought of himself as their equal. It seemed wrong to him that humans should have access to magic. Or, not wrong, but strange. It didn't make sense. He thought it was too good to be true. As magicians, we were taking advantage of some kind of cosmic loophole to wield power that by rights we were never meant to have. The inmates had found the keys to the asylum, and we were running amok in the pharmacy. Or think of the universe as a vast computer. We are end users who have gained admin-level access to the system and are manipulating it without authorization. Henry has a whimsical mind. He isn't a rigorous theorist by any means, but he does have moments of insight. This was one of them. They had left the square, Poppy and Quentin walking with their arms around each other now, pooling their heat. The zone of warm air was centered around Penny and moved with him, so that the cold nudged them along if they lagged too far behind him. He had a captive audience. Even being lectured by Penny was preferable to freezing to death. Now, push Henry's theory a little. If magicians are hackers who broke into the system, then who are the system's rightful administrators? Who built the system, the universe, into which we have broken? God? Poppy asked. It was good to have her here when dealing with Penny. Penny didn't get on her nerves. He didn't push Poppy's buttons the way he pushed Quentin's. She just wanted to know what he knew. Precisely. Or, more precisely, the gods. There's no need to get overly theoretical about it. Any magician who could work magic on such a fundamental scale would be, almost by definition, a god. But where are they? And why haven't they caught us and kicked us out of their system? They must have worked spells on an energy scale that to us is no longer conceivable. Their power would have dwarfed even that of the mages who built the Netherlands. You should see it, Quentin. I mean, really see the Netherlands the way I have. It's not infinite, you know, but it goes on for thousands of miles in all directions. It's wonderful. They show you everything when you get in the order. It was funny about Penny. He was an arrogant prick. Notice the way he all but ignored Poppy. And he'd suffered terribly, but deep down, under it, he was still very innocent, and every once in a while, his innocence overpowered his arrogance. Quentin didn't quite have it in him to like Penny, but he felt he understood Penny. Penny was the only person he'd ever met who loved magic, really loved it, the same way he did. Naively, romantically, completely. After a while, you get to be able to read the squares like a language. Each one is an expression of the world it leads to, if you understand the grammar of it. No two are the same. There's one square, just one, that's a mile on each side. And it has a golden fountain in the center. They say the world it leads to is like heaven. They haven't let me go through it yet. Quentin wondered what heaven would be like for Penny. Probably in heaven you were always right and you never had to stop talking. God, he could be a dick where Penny was concerned. Probably in heaven you had hands. They were silent for a bit as they crossed a stone bridge over a canal. Little whirling snow devils chased each other over the ice. Where did the gods go? Poppy asked. I don't know. Maybe they've been in heaven, but they're back. They've come back to close the loophole. They're taking magic back, Quentin. They're going to take it all away from us. They'd come to a square that looked no different from any of the others, except that the fountain in the center was closed. A tarnished bronze cover, ornately inscribed, fitted over the basin. It was held shut by a simple latch. Penny glided over to the fountain over the snow, the tips of his bare toes brushing it. He let himself float gently to the ground. Quentin was trying to process what Penny had said. This must have been what the dragon had meant back in Venice. This must be the mystery at the root of it all. But it couldn't be real. It had to be a mistake. The end of magic? That would mean the end of Breakbills, of Fillory, of everything that had happened to him since Brooklyn. He wouldn't be a magician anymore. Nobody would be. All their trouble, all of their double lives would become single ones again. The spark would go out of the world. He tried to work out how they'd gotten here. A trip to the outer island. That's all it was supposed to be. He'd pulled a thread, and now the whole world was coming unraveled. He wanted to unpull it, to pull it back, weave it back together again. Penny was waiting for something. Open this for me, please, he said. You have to undo the catch. Right, no hands. Numb, but not from cold now. Quentin unhooked the bronze hook that held the cover on, then worked his fingertips between the cover and the stone. It was heavy. The metal was an inch thick, but with Poppy's help, he heaved it up and part of the way to one side. They peered in. It took a second for the perspective to resolve, and when it did, they both backed away instinctively. It was a long way down. There was no water in the fountain. Instead, it was just a vast, echoing darkness. It was like they were looking down through the oculus of an enormous dome. This must be what lay beneath the Netherlands. Far down, Quentin would have guessed a mile, was a flat pattern of glowing white lines, like a schematic diagram of circuitry or a maze with no solution. Among the lines, waist deep in them, stood a silvery figure. It was bald and muscled, and it must have been enormous. It was dark, but the giant made its own light. It glowed with a lovely, steady silvery luminescence. The giant was busy. It was at work. It was changing the pattern. It grasped one line, disconnected it, bent it, connected it to another line. Because they were the size of derricks, its arms moved slowly, traversing enormous distances, but they never stopped moving. Its handsome face showed no expression. Penny, what are we looking at? Is that a god? Poppy said. That is a god, Penny corrected her. Though that is really just a term to describe a magician operating on a titanic power scale. We've seen at least a dozen of them. It's hard to tell them apart. There's one at each of these access points, but we know what they're doing. They're fixing it. They're rewiring the world. Quentin was staring down at the exposed circuitry of creation, and at the master of it, it looked a little like the Silver Surfer. I suppose, Quentin said slowly, you're going to say that is a being of sublime beauty and power, and he only looks like that because my fallen mortal eyes are incapable of perceiving his true magnificence. No, we think that's actually pretty much it. Come on, Poppy said. She tilted her head. He is pretty impressive. He's big. And silvery. A big silvery janitor, Penny. A big silvery janitor. Penny, this can't be how the universe works. In the order, we call it inverse profundity. We've observed it in any number of cases. The deeper you go into the cosmic mysteries, the less interesting everything gets. So that was him. The biggest bastard of them all, top of the food chain. That's where magic came from. Did he even understand what he'd made? How beautiful it was? How much people loved it? He didn't look like he loved anything. He just was. Though, how could you make anything as beautiful as magic and not love it? I wonder how he found out, Poppy said, about us using magic. I wonder who tipped him off. Maybe we should talk to him, Quentin said. Maybe we can change his mind. We could, I don't know, prove ourselves worthy of magic or something. Maybe they have a test. Penny shook his head. I don't think they can change their minds. When you get to that level of power and knowledge and perfection, the question of what you should do next gets increasingly obvious. Everything is very rule-governed. All you can ever do in any given situation is the most gloriously perfect thing, and there's only one of them. Finally, there aren't any choices left to make at all. You're saying the gods don't have free will. The power to make mistakes, Penny said. Only we have that, mortals. They watched the god work for a while without talking. It never paused or hesitated. Its hands moved and moved, bending lines, breaking one connection, making another. Quentin couldn't see why one pattern was better than another, but he supposed that was his mortal fallibility. He felt a little sorry for it. He supposed it was happy, never doubting, never hesitating, eternally certain of its absolute righteousness. But it was like a giant divine robot. Let's cover it up, he said. I don't want to look at it anymore. The bronze cover grated against the stone, then dropped with a clang back into place. Quentin latched it, though who the latch was going to keep in or out he couldn't imagine. They stood around it as if it were a grave they'd just finished filling. Why is this happening now? He said. Penny shook his head. Something caught their attention. Somebody somewhere must have tripped an alarm and summoned them back from wherever they were. They may not even have realized they were doing it. We didn't know they were here until the cold started. Then the sun went out, and the snow came and the wind. The building started to collapse. It's all ending. Josh was here, Quentin said. He told us about it. I know, Penny said. He shifted uncomfortably under his robe. He forgot himself and spoke in his old voice again. The cold makes my stumps ache. What's going to happen? Poppy asked. The Netherlands will be destroyed. It was never part of the divine plan. My predecessors built it in the space between universes. The gods will clear it away like a wasp's nest in an old wall. If we're still here, we'll die with it, but it won't stop there. It's not even the Netherlands they're after. It's what it runs on. You could say one thing for Penny. He could look at a harsh truth in the face. He had a weird integrity about things like that. He was calm and collected. He didn't flinch. It wouldn't occur to him. It wouldn't occur to him, too. Magic is a problem. We're not supposed to have it. They're going to close whatever loophole they left open that's let us use it. When they're done, it will go dead. Not just here, but everywhere, in every world. That power will belong to the gods only. Most worlds will simply lose magic. I think Fillory may fall apart and cease to exist entirely. It's a bit special that way. It's magical all the way through. I have a theory that Fillory itself might be the loophole, the leak through which magic first got out, the hole in the dike. The change would have started already. You may have seen signs. The thrashing clock trees. They must be something like Fillory's early warning system, sensitive to any signs of trouble. Jollibee's death. Maybe Fillorians can't live without magic. Ember and the unique beasts up in arms. They were fixing the world, but Quentin preferred it broken. He wondered how long it would take. Years, maybe? Maybe he could go home and not think about it, and it would all happen after he was dead. But he wasn't getting that impression. Quentin wondered what he would do if magic went away. He didn't know how he would live in that world. Most people wouldn't even notice the change, of course. But if you knew about it, knew what you'd lost, it would eat away at you. He didn't know if he could explain it to a non-magician. Everything would simply be what it was and nothing else. All there would be was what you could see, what you felt and thought. All the longing and desire in your heart and mind would count for nothing. With magic, you could feel those feelings real. They could change the world. Without it, they would be stuck inside you forever, figments of your imagination. And Venice would drown. Its weight would crush those wooden pilings, and it would disappear into the sea. You could see the gods' point of view. They made magic. Why would they want an ignorant insect like Quentin playing around with it? But he couldn't accept it. He wasn't going to. Why should the gods be the only ones who got magic? They didn't appreciate it. They didn't even enjoy it. It didn't make them happy. It was theirs, but they didn't love it, not the way he, Quentin, loved it. The gods were great, but what good was greatness if you didn't love? So, is it going to happen? He asked. For now, he would be stoic like Penny. Is there any way to stop it? He was warm again, but the chill kept creeping back in through the soles of his boots. Probably not. Penny began to walk like a regular mortal with his actual feet. The snow didn't seem to bother him. Quentin and Poppy walked with him. But there is a way. We always knew this might happen. We prepared for it. Tell me, what's the first thing a hacker does once he breaks into a system? I don't know, Quentin said. He steals a bunch of credit card numbers and subscribers to a lot of really premium porn sites. He sets up a back door. It was good to know that even having attained enlightenment, Penny was still impervious to humor. So that if he's ever locked out, he can get back in. The Order did that? So they say. A back door was built into the system, metaphorically speaking, that would let magic back out into the universe if the gods ever returned to claim it. It just has to be opened. Oh my God. Quentin didn't know whether he should dare to hope or not. It would almost be too painful if it turned out not to be true. So you can fix this. You're going to fix this. The back door exists. Penny mimed, doing quotery fingers, which he couldn't actually do. But the keys to it were hidden a long time ago, so long ago now that not even we know where they are. Quentin and Poppy looked at each other. It couldn't be that simple. It just couldn't. No way were they that lucky. Penny, there wouldn't by any chance be 7 of these keys, Quentin said. 7. Yes, 7 golden keys. Penny, Jesus Christ, Penny, I think we have them. Or 6 of them. We have them back in Fillory. It has to be them. Quentin had to sit down on a block of stone, even though it was a little outside Penny's circle of warmth. He put his head in his hands. That was the quest. It wasn't fake, and it wasn't a game. It was real. It mattered after all. They'd been fighting for magic all along. They just didn't know it. Of course, Penny took this in stride. He would never be so uncool as to give Quentin credit for saving the universe or anything. That's very good. That's excellent. But you must recover the seventh key. Right. I got that far. We'll find the seventh key, and then what? Then, take them all to the end of the world. The door is there. That was it. He knew what to do now. He'd received his cue. It was like how he felt back on the island, in the castle, but calmer this time. This must be what the gods felt like, he thought. Absolute certainty. They had arrived at Penny's building, back where they'd started. Penny, we have to get back to Fillory, back to our ship to finish the quest. Can you send us back? I mean, even with the fountains frozen over? Of course. The Order has made me privy to all the secrets of interdimensional travel. If you think of the Netherlands as a computer, then the fountains are merely... Awesome. Thanks, man. He turned to Poppy. Are you in on this? Or do you still want to go back to the real world? Are you kidding? She grinned and pressed herself against him. Fuck reality, baby. Let's go save the universe. I will prepare the spell to send you back, Penny said. It was snowing harder, the flakes blowing slantwise through their little dome of warmth, but Quentin felt invulnerable now. They were going to fight this, and they were going to win. Penny began chanting in that same incomprehensible language he'd used before. It had some vowel sounds that Quentin barely recognized as human. It needs a minute to take effect, he said when he was done. Of course, from this point forward, the journey will be undertaken by members of the Order. Wait, what do you mean? My colleagues and I will return with you to your ship and carry out the remainder of the quest. You may observe, of course. Penny gave them a moment to take that in. You didn't think we would leave a mission of this importance to a group of amateurs, did you? We appreciate the good work you've done to get us this far, we truly do. But it's out of your hands now. It's time for the professionals to take over. Sorry, but no, Quentin said. It isn't. He wasn't giving this up, and he definitely wasn't inviting Penny along. I suppose you'll find your way back to Fillory then, Penny said. He crossed his handless arms. I take back the spell. You can't take it back, Poppy said. What are you, 9, Penny? He'd finally gotten under Poppy's skin. You don't understand, Quentin said, though he wasn't totally sure he understood himself. This is our job. Nobody else can do it for us. That's not how it works. You have to send us back. I have to? Are you going to make me? Jesus, Penny, you are unbelievable. Literally unbelievable. You know, I actually thought you changed. I really did. Do you even get that this isn't about you? Not about me? Penny lost his grip on his interdimensional monk voice again and spoke in his old, higher-pitched voice, the one he used to use when he felt especially aggrieved and self-righteous. Spare me that, Quentin. You haven't spared me much during our long acquaintance, but spare me that. I found the Netherlands. I found the button. I took us to Fillory. You didn't do all that, Quentin. I did. And I got my hands bitten off by the beast, and I came here, and now I'm going to finish this, because I started it. Quentin imagined it. Penny and his fellow Blue Oyster Cult members showing up on the Muntjac and ordering everybody, ordering Elliot around. Probably they were better magicians than he was technically, but still no, he couldn't do it. It was impossible. They glared at each other. It was a stalemate. Penny, can I ask you something? Quentin said. How do you do magic now? I mean, without your hands. The funny thing about Penny was that you knew questions like that weren't going to make him uncomfortable, and it didn't. In fact, his mood brightened immediately. At first, I thought I would never do magic again, Penny explained. But when the Order took me in, they taught me another technique that does not depend on hand motions. Think about it. What's special about hands? What if you were to use other muscles in your body to cast spells? The Order showed me how. Now, I can see how limiting it was. To be honest, I'm a little surprised you're still doing it the old way. Penny wiped his chin with his sleeve. He always used to spit a little when he got excited. Quentin took a deep breath. Penny, I don't think you or the Order can finish this quest. I'm sorry. Ember assigned this one to us, and he must have had his reasons. I think that may just be the way it works. It's his will. I don't think it would work for anybody else. Penny mulled this over for a minute. All right, he said finally. All right. I can see there is a certain logic to it, and there is a great deal for the Order to do in the Netherlands. In fact, in many respects, the crucial effort will take place here while you retrieve the keys. Quentin had a feeling that was the best he was going to get. Great. I appreciate that. If you wanted to, you could take this opportunity to say that you're sorry about sleeping with my girlfriend. You were on a break. Okay, look. Just get us the hell out of here. We have to go save magic. If they stayed here any longer, Quentin was going to doom the universe all over again by killing Penny with his bare hands. Though, it would almost be worth it. What are you going to do while we do that? We, the Order and I, are going to engage the gods directly. This will delay them while you recover the last key. But what could you possibly do? Poppy asked. Aren't they all powerful, or practically? Oh, the Order can do things you wouldn't believe. We've spent millennia studying in the library of the Netherlands. We know secrets that you never dreamed of. We know secrets that would drive you mad if I whispered them to you. And we're not alone. We'll have help. A deep, muffled thump filled the square from over the fountain that led back to earth. It shook the air. They felt it in their knees. A stone fell somewhere. Another thump followed it, and another, as if something was knocking, trying to force its way into the world from somewhere underneath. Was it the gods? Maybe they were too late. There was a final thump, and all at once the ice of the fountain exploded upward. Quentin and Poppy ducked as chunks of it shot in all directions and went skittering across the paving stones. With a metallic groan, the great bronze lotus flower tore open, the petals spreading out in all directions as if it were blooming. And a huge, sinuous form came surging and wriggling up out of it. The thing lunged violently up into the air, spreading its wings and shaking off water and beating its way into the night sky, whipping the falling snow into great whirls and circles around it. Another one followed it, and then a third. "It's the dragons!" Poppy shouted. She clapped her hands like a little girl. "Quentin, it's the dragons! Oh, look at them!" "It's the dragons," Penny said. "The dragons are going to help us." Poppy kissed him on the cheek, and Penny smiled for the first time. You could tell he didn't want to, but he couldn't help himself. The dragons kept coming, one after the other. They must have emptied out every river in the world. The square lit up the square lit up as one of them roared, a gout of flame at the misty sky. How did he know that was going to happen right then? "You planned that, didn't you?" Quentin said, or tried to say. But just then Penny's spell took effect, and Quentin was no longer in the same world as the person he was talking to. That's it for Chapter 22. We will see you guys next week with Chapter 23.